African American and Latinx caregivers who are even more greatly impacted by the gender wage gap, hiring discrimination. And so when you do add caregiving as a component of that, we're already starting kind of at a deficit.
So hi everyone, welcome to Caregiver College. Caregiver College is a bi-weekly online educational program series in partnership with the University of Alabama at Birmingham's Alzheimer's Disease Research Center. This is hosted by me, Selena Atkins, and the series is primarily targeted to younger millennial first-time caregivers of aging adults. So our goal is that each episode we're going to hear from aging and caregiver researchers, caregivers, as well as community leaders to share their experiences, insights, and provide resources to caregivers of all ages. So for our first episode, to kick it off, we have Ms. Aisha Adkins. Aisha, please say a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yes, thank you, Selena. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, so I have been a family caregiver since my mother was diagnosed with dementia in 2013. I came into the experience assuming that it would last about three months, and it's been 8 years now this month. Noticing some of the disparities around gaps of information and access for younger adults, but also those who are members of minority communities. I really felt strongly about creating space and creating opportunity for populations that are generally left out of the conversation of caregiving. So I began my advocacy work in 2017. I founded an organization called Our Turn to Care, which is actually now merged with Love Labor Project, which is another similar organization, but our values and mission are very much aligned. And I am the co-executive director now of Love Labor Project alongside Rachel Bernstein, and I am the program manager for Our Turn to Care, which supports BIPOC millennial caregivers.
That's really interesting, especially in terms of thinking about younger millennial first-time caregivers. So as a researcher kind of getting involved in this work, I am noticing that a lot of data is indicating that we really need to pay attention to this particular, demographic, because we're thinking about a lot of millennials are now kind of, they're no longer teenagers, like they're kind of becoming adults, getting their household set up, having a family if that's what they choose to do. And I think there are some, also kind of like significant sort of things going on, especially, trying to manage everything in terms of like caring for their older aging loved ones, as well as themselves. So my question for you really is, what do you think is the most pressing concern for caregivers of this age group?
I think that's a great question. One of the challenges for young adult caregivers is that oftentimes these caregiving responsibilities come at a time when, as you mentioned, we are establishing things like credit. We are maybe perhaps looking at buying a home for the first time, starting families. And so oftentimes caregiving interrupts these opportunities. The other challenge is developing a sense of economic security and stability for the future. Many millennial caregivers have had to either cut back on hours if they were working a job with an hourly wage, or they've had to leave the workforce altogether. And so this particularly affects African American and Latinx caregivers who are even more greatly impacted by the gender wage gap, hiring discrimination. And so when you do add caregiving as a component of that, we're already starting kind of at a deficit, and this makes it all the more challenging moving forward. So there's kind of a continued cycle of challenge where that's concerned. If you're not contributing to a 401k, a savings, Social Security, it's very difficult to plan for the future while also providing care that's quality, but often without support for your loved one.
So lastly, is there anything that you want to leave with the viewers? Anything to think about or consider? If anything, let just have at it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I always just like to reiterate that you are not alone. It can, caregiving can be a very, very lonely journey. It can feel very isolating at times, but know that you are not experiencing this journey alone, that there are 50 million other people in the United States right now who are going through the same thing, and that there are resources and supports available. I definitely encourage you to reach out for the help that you need. And also, if you're in a situation where you're able to do so, cherish the moments that you do have with your loved ones. And I think learn to be present, in those moments, and hold on to the joy, because as challenging as caregiving can be, I think there are also some really sweet and really special moments that I don't know that I would have had if I weren't a caregiver. So, if that's something that's available to you, then I encourage you to really take in those moments as well.
Absolutely. So again, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and thank you to everybody who was viewing this. We hope that it was helpful. So thank you.